Chookman here once again. I had to delete that other one of the story of losing my partner Sandy. She passed away 10 years ago, around about 10 years. This is her here, standing up at Heathcote. We were camping at this time and were having a bushfire and having a great time. She used to love going up to the bush and letting her hair hang down, as they say. She's wearing my Harley Davidson jacket there, even though it's too big. She used to love getting on the back of my Harley and going for rides. Um, it's sad how she passed away, but you know what? We can't save the world. I tried to save her, but she didn't listen to me, and she had a drug problem. When I met her down at the Preston Market, and she was picking up cigarette butts, and we got a conversation going. She come back to my house. I told her I was no trouble at my house, or otherwise you'll go in as quick as you come out. And we stayed together for 2 years. In that 2 years, she started disappearing, and I realised that she was taking heavy drugs. I tried to save her. I couldn't save her. I took her to drug rehabilitation centres, and every time I booked her into these places, she'd rock back at my joint 2 days later. And I used to say to her, Sandy, you got to be fair income. If you want to get off the drugs, you got to stop this. You got to stay in this place until you get clean. Unfortunately, she couldn't do it. She died around the corner from where I live now, and next to on the footpath. Puts a big lump in my throat when I talk about this. I had a neighbour come knock on my door, and she said, European lady, she couldn't speak English that good, but she could say a couple of words. She said, Sandy dead. I said, what? Anyway, she coached me into coming around the corner, and there she was on the side of the curb, passed away. I picked her up and I hugged her, and as I was hugging her, I was crying, and I was trying to ring triple O. They come. First people who were coming were fire brigade, then an ambulance, and then the police. By this time, Sandy had already been passed away. Apparently, the fire brigade said that they could tell that she'd been passed away that night, so she'd been there all that night, and I didn't know. It's only the next morning when a neighbour seen her laying on the ground. They realised something was wrong. They knew where she come out of, so this lady come and got me. And I went there and, she passed away. Unfortunately, I tried to get her help. She refused to help, and that's how we ended up. She passed away, and I had to get on with my life after that. But I really hit it hard when she passed away. I seen the good side of Sandy, I seen the ugly side of Sandy, and I seen the mixed up Sandy. She had multiple personalities because of the drugs. I didn't learn this until later. They done an autopsy on her. She had enough heroin in her to kill a bull. The autopsy lady was kind enough to ring me up and tell me how much drugs and what drugs she had in her system, and not to blame myself. She said to me, Sandy was going to do this no matter what you did. She could tell that Sandy's been using heavy drugs for a long time, and it finally caught up to her, unfortunately. Now, I buried Sandy in Mansfield. I rode my bike to the funeral. Very sad day for me. I'd never had to go through this experience, losing a partner. She took drugs, but she took drugs for her own demons. She'd been abused. She was probably a ward of the state too. I never got, when I talking about the story, she told me a lot of things that her father had done to her when she was a little girl, and that kicked me in the guts. When I heard her sad story, We sat out on my front porch and we talked and we talked and we talked, and that's the night I met her, and we connected on a good level. I never judged her and she never judged me, and we just, I don't know, we got along. She leaves behind 2 sons and 1 daughter. Um, hopefully the police told her sons and her daughter the truth on how Sandy passed away due to drugs. They went to Sandy's funeral, but they were angry and sad, and that's okay too. One day, if they ever knock on my door, I'll explain to them what happened to their mum. But until then, it's just sad how it ended. We had good times. She loved to get on the back of the bike and go for rides. She loved to go camping and enjoying life. And we had fun. You know, it's just sad how I lost her. And I tried to educate her, but unfortunately, when it comes to trauma, us human beings are our worst enemy. We deal with our trauma in all different ways. She dealt with trauma with taking heavy drugs, and I dealt with trauma drinking alcohol. So the old saying, mixing the bitch with the witch, and I'm not calling her a witch, that's the old saying. It's not good, you know. Drugs and alcohol, if you abuse it, it catches up to you in the end. So you just got to be careful and deal with your trauma. That's why I said you got to ring up someone, go and talk to someone, get counselling, but don't use drugs or alcohol for our trauma, because that's not how we fix our problems. We fix our problems with getting counselling and keep up with our counselling. That's what I do anyway. I get counselling once a fortnight, and it helps me rest my soul. So that's how I fell in love and I lost her. Finding the love of my life and losing the love of my life. But there's a happy ending to it. I've moved on, if that's the correct word to say. I've got another partner now, and she's just as beautiful as Sandy. Sandy was beautiful in her own little way. She had a lot of old sayings, and I could tell she'd been around for a long, long time. She'd seen a lot of trauma in her days as she was growing up. But now she's resting in peace. She's up with the heaven. She's up with the angels. And, yeah. Alright, guys. As I said, I had to delete the other one because of copyrights. I had music going in the background. I should have jerried, but I'm not, you know. So I've done this one. And, guys, if you're struggling and you can't deal with your mental health, pick up the phone. Ring someone. Go and talk to someone. Because when you do silly things and you end up passing away, it's everyone else that's left behind that suffers. And I still look at her photo and cry and hurt. And that's only normal when you love someone and care for someone. And that, you know, I spent many years drinking myself silly because I couldn't deal with Sandy's death. But now, it's been 10 years. I'll never forget her, but I'll get on with my life. She was special in my eyes. And when she told me her story, how she'd been abused, it wasn't just a story. I could feel her pain as she had tears rolling down her eyes. And we enjoyed every minute of the day we were together. We had fun, we had laughter, we just, I don't know, 2 young kids, even though we were old. Sandy was a couple of years older than me, but that doesn't matter. Age is just a number. We connected, we looked after each other, and that's all it took. You know, a bit of kindness from everyone. A bit of kindness goes a long way. Alright guys, that's just a story how I found the love of my life and lost the love of my life. Now getting on to that, 10 years have gone, and I've got another partner now. She doesn't drink, she doesn't smoke, and she's a hard worker. She's a good woman, the one I've got now. But it's a real eye opener when you go out with someone that you love and they're on drugs and they do silly things and they pass away. It's an eye opener, and it hurts really bad. But you know what? No one's perfect. Sandy wasn't perfect. I wasn't perfect. But sometimes we do silly things. I think if Sandy was alive today, she'd look at this and say, yeah, that's a silly thing I done, but I'm here today telling the story. Unfortunately, she's not here. Alright guys, if you're struggling out there, pick up a phone, ring a friend, or go to hospital. That's all I can say about if you're struggling with mental health issues. Alright guys, as I always say, have a great day and look after your mental health.